Hi and welcome to a trader today for the 14th of August. My name's Tom. I'm a senior trading strategist here at Trend Signal, and we've been teaching traders to trade intraday markets since 2003. I want to run through two opportunities that have just occurred on the German 40, looking on the 2 minute time frame, for a couple of reasons, really. Number one, the two big moves that you see in here are nice and easy to follow. But also that there's a little bit we can talk about exiting trades early and re-entering as to protect your account throughout the day. So let's start on the first opportunity. You can see here we have an arrow flip on the chart as the candle hits the arrow of the previous potential trade. What this tells us is that we're now looking for a short entry. The arrows are pointing downwards, and there's a 5-step process for finding out if there's a reason to essentially take this short as opposed to not. So what do? We look at the arrow flip, okay? We then look for the candle position. Now, the arrow is inside the blue band, which means that we need to close below the purple band. We do in this instance. We then have a look for the vector average change colors. This tells us the lower time momentum. We're looking from green to red. Essentially, supporting our sell side is the lower time frame. We're looking at that switch over from a buying market into a selling market to give us the extra push down it needs. We then look at the R ratio. It tells us if the market is wide enough in the first place for us to bother taking this. And finally, and unfortunately, we do have to be in turn with the long-term trend. Now, in this case, we're not. We have a blue intermediate trend here, turning into an orange a little bit later on. However, this occurs after we cross the first values that we need. So this is actually a filtered out trade. What that means is that we sit on our hands for a bit, we wait for this to develop, and we potentially look for a later entry. Instead, what we get the red change colors turn back into green on the vector average and then turn back down to red. This tells us that essentially what's happened is we turn for a sell. We've done a little bit of wobbling. It's not really got enough strength to push through. We get a push up. It's rejected by the buyers. They don't have enough strength to push it any higher, and we're going to turn back to the sell side. What happens is on the close of this candle, we enter because we have these confirmed change colors, and then we ride it the entire way down. Essentially what this does is it allows us to avoid this 10-minute period where the market's moving sideways and nothing is really happening. We enter the position 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 minutes later, we get the massive push down. We close out somewhere within this region. Now, if you're just following the tools as written, you can look towards the black arrow, in which case you come out with a healthy profit. But the real skill is pushing it down using active management to take more of these pips towards the bottom. That's something, by the way, we'll be teaching in the live webinar session we'll be having on Friday at 10:30. There'll be a link in the end of this session to join us if you do fancy. What do we get from there? So we've taken some profits out of the market. We then get a filtered trade again for the exact same reason as what we see up here. Okay, we have the arrow flip. We're inside the band, but we fail the 5 criteria. Because it's inside, it needs to be above the purple. What this is doing here essentially is stopping us from buying the slight rise back up, the consolidation before a further move down. We then get an entry for a sell trade. Now this one is valid. We're inside, needs to be below this. This one is a small loser. We don't get much opportunity for profits out of it before we move on to the next big winner. Okay, arrow flip. Outside the band, this means we don't need the long-term trend. The market is stretched enough at this point that it's going to do a big impulse move regardless, essentially, of what it's done earlier in the day. We have the red to green change color on the lower time frame. This is how we detect that this is a valid entry in the first place. We need to be above the black band because we're outside, not the purple band, which we already opened of this candle, and we're into the trade. And from here, there's 2 different ways that you can manage this trade. Now, if you're just looking at the black arrows, as you can see, it's a pretty smooth ride up. We ride it up until about 57 pips worth of profit. However, what are most trend signal traders going to be doing? They're going to be looking at taking profits out of this along the way and not risking it having it come down the entire way back to the black arrows. How do we do so? We employ the active management techniques we'll be teaching you in the session, but let me go through the couple of entries that you could have taken. We get the initial push up, okay, a big push. I mean, we go from 298 to 334. So we're looking at the best part of 30 plus pips out of this movement. We then retrace back down. We get a change color in this vector average, and we flip back from red to green. This is a continuation trade telling us that we can jump back into this entry. We then ride that entry up the whole way. We get a change color, red to green, gives us another continuation entry. We then ride that up, and eventually we hit the black arrow stop, which is the end of any potential trade that we can take. So there's a couple of ways to skin this, and regardless of how you do it, you're going to be taking profit from the market. It's very much about the psychology of the trade and not wanting to sit in there, as it does have these bigger pullbacks. You can get in and out, or you can hold the trade the entire way through. It's all about the style of the trader and the confidence they have in their own trading strategy. If you're interested in seeing more like this, taking live trades alongside our professional coaches, and also how we manage these trades in real time, then as I say, there is a session coming out tomorrow, 10:30, intraday trading. There'll be a 4 minutes video, and hopefully we'll catch you there. Bye for now.